In central Jerusalem sits a 35-acre plateau that dictates the geopolitical temperature of the entire region. The Temple Mount is the most fiercely contested, heavily restricted sacred site on Earth. Protecting it requires an unusual kind of security. The Israel Antiquities Authority deploys specialized tactical units here, archaeologists who carry weapons, make arrests, and stand guard over ancient dirt. They patrol this ground because the stakes are purely political. If someone were to unearth a single authenticated artifact from King Solomon's era, it would trigger a geopolitical earthquake. Legitimizing ancient claims to this specific plot of land could rewrite international borders and ignite billion-dollar conflicts. That desperation for proof fueled a sophisticated deception. An Israeli collector produced this dark stone tablet bearing 15 lines of ancient Hebrew, seemingly describing actual financial collections for repairs made to Solomon's temple. The Israeli government immediately seized the artifact, but instead of confirming a miracle, the stone sparked an 8-year legal battle. The forgery was executed so precisely that state prosecutors struggled to prove it was a fake, exposing how eager institutions are to validate this era. The specialized guard on the mount exists because even the smallest discovery here can rewrite the political map. Until physical proof of Solomon's era is found, its history remains a strictly protected, silent landscape. Despite centuries of relentless digging and surveys across the region, there is zero physical archaeological evidence of the First Temple. There are no foundation stones, no inscriptions, and no ruins. King Solomon's reign in 970 BCE is documented as the Golden Age of ancient Israel. His temple was designed to centralize a faith that would eventually shape 3 major world religions. Yet the physical record from his time remains empty. How does the spiritual and physical epicenter of the ancient world simply vanish without a trace? To understand the disappearance, we have to look at the construction. After taking the throne, a young King Solomon envisioned a centralized powerhouse in Jerusalem to permanently anchor his people and their faith. The Hebrew Bible describes a massive logistical feat. With material support from the King of Lebanon, the construction required an estimated 180,000 laborers working for 7 years to raise the massive stone blocks. The Quran offers a supernatural perspective on the same project. In Islamic tradition, Solomon commanded an army of jinns to erect towering structures, carving giant statues and laying down transparent crystal floors, so perfect that visiting royalty mistook them for deep water. Whatever the method of construction, the structure was built to house the ultimate prize inside its deepest chamber, the Holy of Holies. This room held the Ark of the Covenant, containing the 10 Commandments, a jar of manna, and the blooming staff of Aaron. As the final stones were set, the texts describe a thick, heavy fog filling the sanctuary, a signal that the divine had physically occupied its earthly home. For the people who built it, Solomon's temple was understood as the literal, physical containment of the divine on earth. It was an earthly home for the creator of the universe. But a physical building can be destroyed. By 605 BCE, the great Babylonian king, Nebuchadnezzar, marched his armies straight to the gates of Jerusalem. The resulting siege ended in complete destruction. The Babylonians executed the Judean king's family before him and then blinded the king himself. Finally, they set the entire city ablaze, razing the royal palaces and the temple to the ground. The center of the Jewish faith was reduced to ash and rubble. The survivors were dragged away into exile, and the temple's holy artifacts were plundered as trophies of war. Yet, in the meticulous Babylonian inventory of that plundered wealth, there is a historical anomaly. The ledgers list countless treasures taken from the city, but they never explicitly mention capturing the Ark of the Covenant. If the Babylonian records and biblical texts detail the looting of the city, but never explicitly state the Ark was taken to Babylon, where could it be? The exiled Israelites found themselves trapped in Babylon. They were surrounded by massive ziggurats, sprawling libraries, and the dominance of the Babylonian god Marduk. Without their temple, they faced total cultural erasure. The Jewish people were at a breaking point, risking complete assimilation into a foreign, Sumerian-rooted religious tradition. To survive, Jewish scholars proposed a shift in how they understood their deity. They decreed that Yahweh was not anchored to a single location in Jerusalem, but was present wherever the community gathered, making their faith portable. They established rules to preserve their identity: mandatory circumcision, the creation of the synagogue, and the ritual of the Shabbat to distinguish their culture from Babylonian traditions. The detailed descriptions of Solomon's temple we read today were documented during this period of displacement. Scholars use the memory of the temple to give an exiled people a shared mission and a target for their return. That survival strategy worked. The idea of the temple proved far more resilient than the physical stones, keeping the culture alive across millennia of diaspora. Today, that ancient longing is driving physical action. Organizations like the Temple Institute are actively preparing to turn a 2,000-year-old memory back into reality. They are already recreating sacred vessels to exact specifications and weaving priestly garments for a new sanctuary. They are even using DNA testing to locate descendants of the ancient priesthood, training them to manage the daily rituals of a future temple. As organizations prepare for a messianic age and the gathering of exiles, they face a final question: can a third temple ever be built on the world's most contested ground without triggering a global conflict?